This is it, folks. The moment you've been waiting for all year long. It's time for the 2020 Attack of the Killer Podcast Award Show! This award show is brought to you by Polterlight Beer, the beer for ghosts. Ghosts love Polterlight Beer because ghosts love booze. The 2020 award show on this episode of Attack of the Killer Podcast.
Attention planet Earth and beyond. Stay tuned for Attack of the Killer Podcast. 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 Yay.
Hello and welcome to the 188th annual Attack of the Killer Podcast Award Show, the only award show that may cause blindness and severe bleeding from the rectum, so be sure to notify your doctor before listening. I am your MC for tonight's festivities, Insane Mike, and this is episode 224, the 2020 Award Show, Part 1. And I am only going to do 8 song and dance numbers this year.
Yeah, can't wait.
If you've never heard our world-famous award shows, I'll explain it to you. This is our year-ender show where we talk about our top 10 horror movies of the year. Each member of the podcast has painstakingly reviewed each and every horror movie from 2020. And we each do in-depth research involving pie charts, graphs, and schematics to determine our individual top 10 favorites of the year. It's a lengthy and intense discussion covering many, 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 many films, so it's going to get split up into 2 shows. We're going to do 10 through 6 on this one, and then 5 through 1 on the next episode. So it's going to end on a cliffhanger. Can your heart take it? Now, if you haven't heard the show at all before, what we usually do around these parts is we pick a topic, we talk about horror movies within that topic, and basically we're just a group of friends who speak freely, so we do a lot of times end up doing spoilers and stuff. So consider yourself warned. Now, if you like what you hear and want to support the show, you can become what we call an official attacker. What's an attacker? An attacker is a very special individual of the Attack of the Killer podcast family that not only helps keep the show going by supporting our Patreon, but also gets all kinds of extra contents and goodies that no mere mortal can receive on their own. If you are an attacker, you get a special shout out on the show. You get your very own membership card and certificate, bonus episodes. You can get basically the show every week thanks to the bonus episodes. You can get weekly and monthly bonus videos such as Insane Mike's 1 Minute Top 10 lists, killer critiques, and so much more. Check it all out for yourself at jointheattackers.com. There you can get signed up and pick the specific package of extra content you wish to receive. Again, that's jointheattackers.com and become an official attacker today. Do it. And now, here to present the awards tonight, in no particular order, are the podcast crew. He gave out the award to the best neckwear of 2020. It was a tie. Tad!
I see you went with the best first. Thank you.
Oh. Again, in no particular order. His last album won an award for its lack of percussion. It was a Nobel Prize. Jason!
Oh my goodness. I like the theme though. I appreciate it. Hey everybody, thanks for listening. This is our favorite episode of the year. Thanks for being here.
At the Farmers Convention, he gave out the award for Best Scarecrow. It went to the one with the one that was the most outstanding in his field. Andy!
Wow. Hi, everybody. Thanks for listening and enduring these puns.
And lastly, coming back to the show after a long hiatus, here for the award show. In high school, he was voted most secretive, and he can't tell you how much that meant to him. Dustin!
Really means a lot. Yeah. I'm back for one night and one night only, so, don't get used to it.
Oh man, it's so good
I'm
to have
already
you
used
back,
to
though.
it. It is great to have you back, buddy.
It's a staple. We missed you last year.
It's good to be back.
Yes.
This will be fun.
It is going to be fun. First, I need to let you guys know that this episode is brought to you by Shudder. Shudder is the Netflix of horror, and it was a huge help with us watching all these movies for 2020. So you too can stay up to date on the latest and greatest in horror by signing up for Shudder. And as a special thanks for listening to us here at Attack of the Killer Podcast, you can get a month for free. How you do that? Enter a promo code. It's AOTKP. That's right. Enter that promo code AOTKP and get a month for free. That rhymes. Again, that promo code is AOTKP. Now, we're just going to get right into it here. We're going to skip a lot of our segments. We're not going to be doing what we watched because basically that's the whole show is what we've watched lately. And also no pole position. So sorry for that if you guys are missing out on that. But we're going to make up for it in all this amazing discussion of 2020 horror movies. So we're just going to go in order here in no particular order and kind of go through our top 10, starting with number 10. Tad, what is your number 10 movie of 2020?
You're going to go first.
I wanted to say it's really nice that you guys like my segment so much that we made a 2-part episode with only my segment. I'm just very honored that you made this decision, and I want to thank Shudder for paying me to make my top 10 all Shudder movies. Just keep sending me the checks, and I'll just keep pushing your movies. No, but really, my number 10 is a Shudder movie, and I don't know, this one I really, really loved. It was Host. It was like the first,
Nice.
post-pandemic, or I guess not, we're still not in post-pandemic, but first movie to sort of come out during the pandemic that related to our current times. It's a horror movie that the whole entire movie takes place on Zoom. It is very short. It's a little over an hour, and it had my nerves on end. It scared the hell out of my wife. It was a thrill ride from beginning to end. And I hope it's just a little blip in our history. Like, we look back at it and remember that time we had a global pandemic for a year, and it's a distant memory. I hope this is like a one and done type thing, that next year I will not be back with another pandemic movie. But I just love this one. It was very convincing, very unique, and it was just simple and fun.
It is fun, and when I heard that running time, I'm like, "Oh, I'm definitely watching this for 2020 to make sure I get my numbers up." I really enjoyed this too, and I mean, I've just come to terms that I definitely am a big fan of found footage. Even though I guess I don't know if you'd call this really found footage, but it's still in a unique style, being all done through, just online FaceTime, through Zoom and everything. And it's not overly long. You don't get a lot of like character development leading. It just jumps straight into it, where these group of friends get together and kind of do the seance, and it go through online, and it goes horribly, horribly wrong. And all the tense, scary stuff all the ghosty stuff is outstanding. Very, very well done. The one downside for me, my least favorite character is the one that lasts the longest in the movie. So, she really annoyed me, and she's kind of the character that is supposed to annoy you too, because she's kind of the one that kind of sets things off going badly. But she really annoyed me mostly because her eyeglasses were crooked.
Okay, fair enough.
Doesn't take much.
No, it kind of doesn't. Anybody else see this one?
I unfortunately did not.
I was like, I want to be clear, if you're listening and you're not sure about which one this is the Shudder original Host, because there's also a new 2020 movie called The Host and another 2020 horror called The Hosts.
Yeah.
Plural. So there's 3 different movies that could be confused for each other. I saw 2 of the 3, and the one I'm talking about is a Shudder exclusive, and it's very short and very sweet, and you'll recognize it right away because the whole thing takes place on Zoom.
Yeah, I shouldn't get on my soapbox about current movie titles, but I hate one-word movie titles because it's confusing as hell. This year alone, there's 2 movies that are like, there's Host and Hosts. But there's like hundreds of movies that are called Host or Hosts or Hosties, Twinkies or whatever.
Dustin, you saw it too, right?
I did. I liked it a lot. I had a hell of a time with it. You know, these computer found footage. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what if it's kind of like its own genre now. But for me, like these have always worked because they're always using like the real software for it.
Mhm.
It's always they're using Zoom, and the shit that happens on it happens on Zoom. The way it fades in and out, lots of cool stuff. It's been a while since I've jumped at some jump scares, but there was a few in this that actually like kind of got me. It kind of kept me up at night too. But
Wow.
I think the one that got me the most is, well, I mean, if we're going to get into it, is because they're trying. It's a seance gone wrong over Zoom, and they end up opening a door or a pathway for some demons, somebody who they're not trying to contact. The story is not original. And that's something interesting that you just brought up, Mike, about character development. I kind of like that in these, and to me, it makes it more realistic and makes it seem less like a movie and more like found footage because you don't get that character development because it's a recording. There wouldn't be much character development if it were a found footage.
Yeah, real life. If you're going to have a Zoom party where you're going to do a seance, you're not going to spend 10 minutes telling your life story.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes it, like, you can tell they've already got a bond and they've already got a friendship, and they establish that in the first 5 minutes that they're all pretty cool with each other and they all like each other and they're just trying to survive in this pandemic world. But it's the seance gone wrong, and just the demon starts attacking them separately through the Zoom call, which is a cool feature. Lots and lots of stuff going on in the background. You need to be, your eyes have to be all over the screen. I always say watch these movies on your computer screen, and you will have, I think it's scarier.
Extra layer of
Yeah. Which I've done, and I think it just adds to that. But there's so much going on in the background, and I think the demon starts attacking them, but I think the one that got me the most was the girl who has the green screen, or, well, she has her static background, which you can do in Zoom. And she like comes through it and like bashes her head like on the table. That scared the shit out of me.
That was a really cool use of that technology.
It really was.
Yeah.
I had a hell of a time with it.
How does this one compare to those other two?
Like Unfriended?
Unfriended, yeah. Those two. Because those were awesome.
I liked both of those. Those both made my lists when those years. So for sure.
I think Unfriended Dark Web might still be my number one in this little subcategory, but but this one's up there. It was really well done and some really cool horror elements in it.
I kept sort of watching and wondering, like, how in the hell did they do this? Because the way they do it, it makes it look like one single shot. They like don't cut away, but obviously they figured out a way, your mind's playing tricks on you because it's a group of friends and you can't pay attention to every window the whole time. So there are probably little cuts in each one, but they cleverly hide them with editing because, they have a reason for someone leaving the screen or someone's internet goes down. And like earlier, we were talking about the character development, and it's sort of cool because I do establish sort of the roles of the group like right away. They have the dude who's sort of a douchebag who's getting drunk, and he's it's obvious that he doesn't see his friends as often, and they are sort of like, oh, he's late to the meeting and he's late to this whatever, and he's not taking it seriously, and this girl thinks this thing is a joke, and the other girl's a little too serious about it, and that kind of thing. Like you sort of have your roles in the group so you know what to expect.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's if you guys missed out on this one, I would recommend it. And again, it is a quick watch, so you're not gonna lose too much time. Jason, what's your number 10?
Oh my gosh. My number 10, I just wanted to, I guess, before we get super started, I guess I wanted to pull back the curtain just a little bit. Like we have this shared document that we have been adding titles to all year, and on average, roughly, we're around like 150 movies that we've cataloged in here. And And out of those, like, we average about at least 50, around 50 that we watched each. And like that, that's how many movies there were this year. And we narrowed down to 10 out of at least around 50 that we all watched. And that was hard. I'm just saying we put in some work, put in some hours.
Yeah, like up until probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was a little nervous about not finding like 10 I felt really were strong. And then I, bulldoze into stuff, and I was like finding stuff up until yesterday. So if you don't feel it's a strong year for horror, you're just not watching enough.
Yeah. Yep, very true.
Yeah, I think that's a takeaway every year, really, is like there's a lot of good stuff out there. It's going to dig. So hopefully our list will help with that. So get the pen and paper ready. But my number 10, I'm going to go with Sputnik.
Oh.
No, you're the only other one that watched this, Dustin, I think.
Oh, well, yeah.
So this is on Hulu, and you can watch it now. This is a completely Russian film made by Russians in Russia, and
so they made it really fast.
Yes, and
Russia, the film make you.
See, exactly. Summoned to a secluded research facility, a controversial young doctor examines a cosmonaut who returned to Earth with an alien parasite inside of him. And it's pretty freaking awesome. I don't know. I think I have a little soft spot for these kind of movies because Alive a couple of years ago was one of my top films ever. I loved it. And so this one's this one's great because it's clearly low budget, and there's just like pretty much one location, this kind of army base thing where they are just got this astronaut in a cell and they keep an eye on him, and the shit that happens all happens kind of in this little place. And I love it.
I started it.
Yeah, I thought it was. Oh, you didn't finish it?
No, because as soon as I started, it had subtitles, and I have no problem with subtitles.
Yeah.
I do love movies with subtitles, but I was like wrapping gifts or something as well as watching movies. So I was like, I'll save this one for later, and I didn't get back to it.
Yeah, it's hard to multitask with a subtitle movie.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, you have to kind of like, if you're going to have a night of movies, which we did when I watched this, I usually keep those movies first because I'm kind of wore out like at the end of the night, and I just kind of want to watch. So I kind of had to put the subtitle ones first, and I have no issue with subtitles either. But this one had a lot of information in it that we as a viewer need to soak up. I thought it was cool. I thought it was bizarre. The alien was a little bit bizarre to me. I think, I guess, spoiler alert, it was kind of Men in Blackish, I guess. But I think it needed to have that quality because you are on its side, because this alien lives inside this cosmonaut and they kind of share this consciousness. And I thought it was
symbiote as it is.
Yeah.
Parasite, and
I thought it was cool. It takes place in Soviet Russia, right? Like it was like in the 80s, and like they're all starving, and it's already like a weird time for everybody. And I thought it was pretty decent too. I'm just gonna spoiler. It didn't make my list, but it was definitely an honorable mention. I had trouble making a full top 10 list. This is the first year, guys. This is the first year I had to like take stuff off the list.
Oh my God.
That never happens to me. Like, that's
awesome. So
this one had to come off. Not because it was bad. It's just because I thought that the ones I put on my list were better. So yeah, I think this is a definite must watch for sure.
Cool. I'm glad you liked it. Yeah, it's like I said, it's on Hulu when you some afternoon, not too late in the day.
Yeah,
there's some reading to happen, but it's beautiful and dark and a neat little concept. That's my number 10, Sputnik.
Excellent. So next up we have Andy. What's your number 10?
Okay. Much like the other guys, I feel like I could have mixed and matched like a lot of other films could have gone onto this list, but I listed ones on here that kind of, just resonated with me a little bit more, and I'm not, disregarding any of the other films that didn't make my list, but my number 10, since I'm a goofy bastard, I had to go with Scare Package.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
First and foremost, I want to say right now how we do not have a Rad Tad's Horror Emporium shirt with the Joe Bob logo. How that
Right?
hasn't happened yet, I don't know. I figured Tad would have, made one already, but the stories in this anthology are just absolutely great. Particularly the one with called One Time in the Woods, where the guy is melting, and it's hilarious. It's basically deals with this horror. It's basically a video store that's just mainly deals in horror, and I'll read from IMDb here. Chad, the owner of Rad Chad's Horror Emporium, recounts a series of bone-chilling, blood-splattered tales to illustrate the rules of the horror genre to his newest employee, and his name is Han, and they just have really, really great segments, and since I'm a wrestling fan, I automatically noticed that Dustin Rhodes was the Devil's Lake Impaler, and the kills in that are great, and the people that you think are going to survive in that last segment are like the last people you would expect to survive, and all the horror tropes are in that last segment. And basically it's Chad, the ones that's explaining them, and of course we do get to see Joe Bob Briggs in this movie, and it's a heck of a lot of fun. I'm pretty sure did most of you guys watch this?
Oh yeah,
Yes,
I watched it on the last drive-in with Joe Bob
Oh, okay.
hosting it.
Nice. What did you guys think of it?
It was a blast.
I love it. I'm sad to say it didn't make my top 10, even though this is an Insane Mike movie all the way.
it is.
So why it didn't make my top 10, I don't know, but it's freaking awesome.
Yeah, totally love it. That's great. Big fan of the Chris McEnroy's segment with the melting dude.
Mm-hmm.
That dude's comedy chops are amazing.
And we've been, being the cheerleader for him for years now with his short films. So really excited to see that he got to be part of this feature that played on Shudder.
Yeah, and they do have shirts with the Melting Man on them. They have the Rad Chads t-shirt. Yeah, just cool to see a dude that, is a Halloween-Palooza and Snake Alley alum get to do something this cool.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Nice. Yeah, I really had a good time with this. It's just a fun movie. It's just a fun time.
It is in my top 20.
Oh yeah, by far it's definitely in the top 20.
Yeah.
Okay, Dustin, what about you?
Well, boys, this is where the sandpaper comes out.
Oh,
I hope this isn't a Human Centipede 2 situation.
It's a little rough for me. I'm sorry. I really wanted to like this movie. I seriously did, because I love the style of it. I love the cover. I love the how it looks. I thought the first segment was hilarious. I left my ass off during that segment. I'm like, okay, well, this has won me over, but I never really seen an anthology film kind of like not win me over after it's won me over. I don't know how to say that, but I just felt like 90% of the cast was trying to be the funny character. And it was, I don't know, like not everybody needed to be the funny character. I needed the straight character in one of the skits to come out and kind of ground the, that any particular segment after that first one. The first one was balls to the wall. So like that didn't matter to me. But after that, it kind of just I don't know. Luckily, most of those segments were short, but the longer ones kind of just felt like they dragged on, especially the last one. And I don't know. I mean,
It's all right. It's all right.
I totally agree with you on the everybody trying to be the funny man character, because you cannot have that in comedy. The comedy works better if there's somebody straight to play the funny guy off of. I mean,
right.
That's why Abbott and Costello worked. That's why Jerry Lewis and Dean Martin worked.
I thought Han was playing the straight guy, though. He was just trying to be a good employee.
Oh yeah.
And I count that as the wraparound, but then that story does eventually come into its own segment at the end. Yeah. But then after that, it's like everybody is the.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it.
Sorry, y'all.
That's all right.
This is why we do this episode.
That's right. Dustin, then what is your number 10 then?
Let me get out the envelope here. This is an award show, right? Hold on.
Right.
I'm wearing a tux. I don't
know. For those of you that know me, I got to put this movie on the list, and you can have me backed into a corner, and I'll have both guns blazing for this series. You know what it is. You didn't even have to ask me for this one, because it is for sure number 10, Tremors, Shrieker Island.
As soon as I knew you and Mike would be the two that would fucking watch this.
We're the only two that watch this one, dude.
Yeah, no, I didn't watch it.
Is this the one with Napoleon Dynamite?
It is. It is.
Okay.
All right. So before of
course.
Okay. So I want to start off by saying that this Tremors is like no other Tremors I've ever seen. It is completely different in shooting style and the way that it looks and the way that it's shot. Yes, it still has Bert. I wouldn't have watched it if it didn't. And yes, it does have graboids, but unfortunately, they're all CGI. So this is why it's 10. It could have very well been higher if they had a practical graboid in there. But I thought this one, they did a lot of things different than they've done in the past. They took out Jamie Kennedy and replaced him with another subpar comedy person with Napoleon Dynamite. He actually does really good in this. I was actually surprised at how good he did. And I was actually surprised at how shitty Jamie Kennedy was in the other one. So I guess that's a pretty good trade-off. But this kind of was shot like they put some fucking money into it, like they had a location
alone. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They had great shots, overhead shot. Like they look like they said, hey, here's some money. Now go make a good Tremors movie this time. Like, we're not going to do this again. They're like, oh shit, we better get our fucking act together. And so they did that. And it's good. I think you should watch it. And if you can get past the CGI graboids, you'll be fine, because it's got fucking Bert in it, and he's being Bert. I mean, what else? You got Michael Gross. That's all you need.
Right.
That's all you need.
It is all you need. That is the only reason why I watch any of these movies as badly as they've gotten, because it's always about Bert, man. He is one of my favorite characters of any horror franchise. But spoiler alert, without trying to be a little cryptic here, I'm done watching them then, if they're going to do any more after this, obviously.
Yes. Again, they've done something they've never done in a Tremors movie. So that another hint, wink, wink.
They made it decent.
Oh. Huh.
I'll just say they broke the cardinal sin of the Tremors franchise. I'll leave it at that.
Wow. Or is this in your top 5 then, Mike?
No, it didn't make the list. Unfortunately, it wouldn't even have made the top 20, but I'm glad I saw it, because I love the Tremors franchise for what they are. I mean, obviously there's diminishing returns as the franchise went on, but as long as you had Michael Gross there, that to me, that's all that mattered. I mean, he is such a. I still have like my fantasy script I want to do where it's Reggie from the Phantasm movies teams up with Ash and Burt Gummer as like a triple threat badass.
Lots of firepower there.
Exactly. Where like they're hilarious, but are trying to be complete badasses all at the same time.
Do it. Write it up.
Richard Brake's in it.
Oh, he does an excellent job too. That's why it leans more towards like a real movie.
Oh, really?
Like seriously, I was watching it and it has this scene where they're like in this open field. They're shooting, I think, on an island somewhere. In real life, it's not, a fake location. And there's like explosions going off, and it looks really good. And Nalani comes down, she's like, "What are you watching?" And I'm like, "This is a Tremors movie." It's like
She's like, "Get out."
It's not what this is supposed to look like. Like they sunk some cash into it this year.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow. Awesome.
Shrieker Island. Okay, so my number 10.
This is why we have Dustin on.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of hard to follow that.
We never know what he's going to pick.
My number 10, going back to Shudder, I picked The Shed.
Yes.
Oh.
10. I really love this movie. I loved the concept. I love, again, it's on the more simplistic side. Basically, it's a vampire is trapped in this guy's shed. And as soon as I read or actually, I think it was Tad when he first watched it, like earlier this year, and talked about it on What We Watched, it really got me excited because I just want to see how they can carry a movie about a guy who has a vampire trapped in his shed. And they do a great job with it. They do some really cool things with it. I love the cast. I like how they go with his best friend. Basically, when he finds out there's a vampire in the shed, and going down a dark path with his bullies, and it was just a fun movie. I can never remember that actor's name who plays the werewolf. He was in The Doors. He was in
The Werewolf.
The vampire.
Frank Whaley.
Frank Whaley. Yeah, which was
Yeah, it's a weird role for him.
Very weird role.
I just remember him as Brett from Pulp Fiction. Does he look like a bitch?
Well, for me, I've always been a big fan of him since first movie I ever saw him in, which was Career Opportunities with him and
Jennifer Connelly.
Yeah. Because he to me, he was like a poor man's Ferris Bueller in that movie, and I loved him. But so seeing him in this vampire role was so weird, because he doesn't have a whole lot of dialogue, and he's in a lot of makeup through a chunk of it. What's interesting too is that you see him go from human to vampire at the beginning of the movie, so that's interesting. Even though through most of the movie he just comes off as just a mindless monster that you shouldn't have any sympathy for, but it starts off as he in the movie as him as a victim of the whole thing. And I wanted to do more research about the movie because I just have this weird. I can't wait to go rewatch it again, because I feel like this movie was made by horror fans, and that there are way more horror nods to other films in this movie than meets the eye. I mean, how many of you guys? I see this is a movie that we all watched, right? How many of you guys instantly picked up on their instrumental cover of Dream Warriors?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's like, let's put I want Dream Warriors in our movie without having to pay the licensing rights to put Dream Warriors in our movie. But not only that, the one moment of the movie, and I'll say this and I'll let you guys talk because I'm just rambling about minor things now. But the moment that made me think, holy crap, this is a horror movie made by horror fans, and there's got to be way more nods going on than I even picked up. And this is the moment that I started paying attention for that. There is a line of dialogue in the first part when they're confronting the bullies, and the bully says, "Eat shit and die," and the kid says, "Eat shit and live." First of all, nobody ever says that. No, that is not a thing you say. And yet, so it has to be a total nod to Sleepaway Camp, because that exact lines of dialogue is in Sleepaway Camp. I mean, me and Justin Beam quote that shit all the time. Eat shit and live. Well, eat shit and die. Eat shit and live. Well, what kind of comeback is that? So it has to be an homage to Sleepaway Camp. Just that little moment. Anyway, I love The Shed.
This I enjoyed this. It didn't make my top 10, but I felt like this movie was sort of like the white trash version of a nod to like Fright Night to me. I mean, because like his buddy seemed like the evil Ed, you know, in this situation, you know, and
You're
he
right.
was
This really has a Fright Night feel to it, Fright Night vibe to it.
yeah, and yeah, I just I don't know. I mean, a part of me was wanting a little bit more, because it was always our monster was always cloaked in shadow. I mean, of course he had to be because most of the time it was filmed during the day, but if this guy is like so damn superhuman, and he can like rip people apart with his bare hands, he can't get out of a shed door at night. I guess I just had a hard time with that part. I mean, I can appreciate what they were going for, and I thought it was well made for what they were working with, but just I don't know. I had a hard time getting around that, but that part aside, I had a good time with it.
Yeah, it totally made my top 20, maybe my number 11 spot. It's so much fun. Had a great time. Yeah, Frank Whaley is this almost not seen as he's just has such a weird role for him.
I know, you just don't see him doing anything like that.
Then that kid's grandpa, you're like, I want him to get eaten, please.
Oh,
sucked.
Yeah,
the whole grandpa thing was so heartbreaking because I'm just kind of waiting for just any nugget of love from this grandfather towards this kid. I'm just kind of hoping like this is just tough love, and there's going to be a moment, especially when the shit hits the fan with the vampire stuff, and it's like it never does.
Have a little compassion. The kid lost his folks, for crying out loud.
It's a great concept for a movie, though. I mean, these outcast kids, that are always constantly bullied, get the ultimate weapon in their shed, and don't think. I don't know. Would you do what? Would you use the shed against your bullies?
Like the one guy did. No,
Yeah.
no. That's too far.
Yeah. No, it's great. I liked it a lot.
Mm-hmm. So, Tad, I think were the first one of us to see this. Did you get a chance to revisit it at all, or?
No, I didn't revisit it. I liked certain aspects of it. Didn't love other things. Maybe my issue was similar to Andy's, or I just felt like it didn't get anywhere quick enough. But I did enjoy it. I think I recommended it when I talked about it on What We Watched. I love movies that have a very simple concept that is like, it's not much to think about. It's very simple. And I love the interaction with the kid and his friend and the bullies. Like, that's very realistic. It didn't feel like your typical movie. It was more like I probably grew up with my neighborhood friends. There was kids that I saw every day that I didn't like that were in my neighborhood, but they were in my neighborhood, so I had to interact with them all the time. And I if I had friends, I kept them really close. And I always put myself in those situations at that age. Like, I think a couple of years ago, I had Super Dark Times on my list, and that one really resonated with me, just because it made me think of me as a kid and what I would do in that situation. And I would not use it against my bullies either. I'd be too chicken shit. But the fantasy of doing that is awesome in the movie.
Dustin, what'd you think of this one?
Yeah. Well. Sorry, here comes
shit on this one too. My God,
here comes the sandpaper. Here's the grit. It's coming. I'm sorry. No. This is obviously like a budget film, and so I don't want to knock it too hard.
No Tremors 7 or whatever.
Yeah. can't sink the money into Shed. but you can Tremors. I don't know. I wasn't feeling it. I felt like it was kind of painful to get through. I kind of had to force feed myself to watch it after it went through. I mean, I don't know. I just didn't dig it. I thought it was. I agree with everyone. That is a clever idea, but this is not what I anticipated it to be. I was expecting because I did notice the actor playing the vampire, and I thought, well, here's an opportunity for him to become night, him turn back into his normal non-vampire self, and they team up with him to come to school with us and kill kids we don't like. That was what I was anticipating, and it was very much not that. And I don't know. I just didn't dig it at all. Really. Sorry.
All right, you convinced me. I'm taking it off my list.
Oh, it's too late. It's in the annals of history.
No, please don't. That's why I don't say. That's why I don't like saying I didn't like something, because it changes somebody's mind. Maybe, I don't know, but no, please keep it where it is.
All right, let's move on to our number 9s here. Tad, what is your 9th favorite movie of 2020?
My number 9 is from director Joe Begos. It's VFW. This one
Nice.
I had a blast with. It felt like a nod to John Carpenter's Assault on Precinct 13, but maybe more so grisly and badass. Joe Begos made my list last year with Bliss. He's made it again this year with VFW. He's my kind of director. I'm really digging what he's doing so far. This one was just awesome to see some old character actors, gritty as hell, bashing dudes, and it's really that simple. I just fucking love the violence and the colors, and this movie, it fired on all cylinders, and I loved it. It was just fun. I just feel like my top 10 are just movies I enjoyed watching from beginning to end. Like, if they captured my attention and I was entertained throughout, and this is definitely one of those. So VFW now streaming on Shudder.
Shudder. Yeah, this movie rules. We've had it on, it feels like, several episodes, and it's so much fun.
The bar episode. I will touch on this briefly because you will hear me talk about this again, foreshadowing. But I will. I have to say I agree with Tad. This is like I think I described it to one of my friends because I suggested that he watch it. It's like Assault on Precinct 13 meets Hobo with a shotgun. I mean, it's got that grimy sort of sleazy feel, and it almost feels like this movie could have been made in the 70s. In fact, I think it's like you could have filmed it like in any era of a drug epidemic. Like, you could have had these same actors do this in the 80s, and you could have called the drug crack cocaine when and all these junkies are trying to get into this VFW. I mean, the VHS would have been new back then that they're watching, but but I mean, you could have filmed it at any point, and it would still be effective. Yeah, love this movie.
And the leads are all old dudes.
That's a cool thing too. Yeah, and I think Stephen Lang, as far as as it goes, I'm just really loving him. Like, he is a guy that I'd never really noticed before until like Don't Breathe, and now this.
Oh,
so
God, so good.
He's quickly climbing up my ladder, and there is something about him, this badass older man, that you just want to hang out with him, or you want him to be that tough ass uncle that shares his beer with you.
I want him at the house on Thanksgiving with that turkey baster.
Ew.
Yeah, I mean, there goes your appetite for like anything.
So, Dustin, tell us how much you hated VFW.
There you go.
No, I didn't like Don't Breathe. I didn't like Bliss, but I did like VFW. I thought, the old
score alone, you would love this movie.
Yeah, well, I was going to mention that on this podcast, especially the year-end podcast. That alone doesn't get you a pass anymore because it's so saturated now with that type of music that it's got to be good. And I will mention a movie if somebody brings it up later that has a better score than the actual movie. But I thought in VFW, all the old guys work. They're great. Yeah. The whole and everything that takes place in the bar is awesome. The antagonist, super goddamn cringy. I could not stand him. I just wanted the old guys. I know we have to have the bad guy, but like the acting of this guy, the way he presented himself, he's just like this skinny turd on the screen. And I just like,
how do you fear this turd?
Yeah, like this guy's our badass. No. Like I loved the big dude that came in, like during the break-in scenes, and like that guy was fucking scary. Like, make him the bad guy. I know they needed brains, but the big dude can have brains too. So I don't know. There was just everything that was in the bar was great. I love all those guys. Everything outside of the bar was not good. But I liked the movie. I give it 2 thumbs up. It didn't make my list. It's an honorable mention. But I did enjoy it. I had a good time watching it.
They should have had Bert as one of the old guys.
Yes.
We'll second that. Jason, what's your number 9?
Number 9, and there might be a little recency bias on this one because it was the last one I watched of all these. My number 9 is Spontaneous.
Woo!
Oh man. Tad was totally right. It's a John Hughes movie with exploding kids. Gosh dang, it's so good. And then it really and obviously I like it because it's a love story with these 2 kids, and Charlie Plummer is amazing, and I could just watch anything that kid does. He's got such a great smile and laugh, and he's easy to watch, and the both of these 2 kids are great, and it might be, and for being a kind of a comedy, but it might be the goriest movie out of all these.
Yeah.
For real.
That lead actress, I don't know her name, but man, she is like
Langford.
So good, like so perfectly funny and dark and weird and quirky and adorable. Like it's not your typical, like, describing it the way I did, I felt like I did it injustice because this character is not your typical teen movie teenager. Like, I don't know, something about her. She's very funny.
For real. Yeah, she's great. So yeah, these kids in this high school, they're seniors, and they just out of nowhere they start exploding, and these 2 try to figure out how to survive in this crazy world. And so I love it, obviously, for, as you can guess, that the moral of the story is, live for the day, seize the day, because you could explode tomorrow. But
I thought it was interesting that, this came out recently, but obviously filmed before a pandemic, but it very much felt like almost in line with that, because spoiler, they quarantine the kids and try to figure out what's going on and try to solve it, and the government keeps lying to the parents and telling them like we almost have it figured out, or we're very close to figuring this out, and they have no fucking idea why these kids are exploding, and they just keep telling the public like, oh yeah, we do, and they become national news and stuff, and it's like, this is eerily close, like instead of exploding, kids getting like COVID or something, but it just felt like very on the nose for this year.
Yeah, and the pill that they end up saying is the cure, they call the snooze button. Mm-hmm. They really don't know if it works or not. Just anyway, Spontaneous, man, this was so good. Again,
had some good scares too, because it's like you're intense because literally anybody can go at any time. You have no idea. There's no rhyme or reason why people explode. And
Nope.
that's what's so cool about it. Like this year has gotten a lot of really cool movies like this where the concept is just like so out there that it's a blast for me. Like I had saw this on someone else's list and it sounded like wild. I had to watch it and I was blown away. Bad pun, but
I agree. This is going to be, I think, my regret for films that I didn't get to watch because I started
definite
it.
Mike movie.
I didn't quite get over the finish line here with this one. I started it last night, but we started watching it at midnight, so there was no way. We were going to try to finish watching it today, and we just didn't get to it. But I loved what I saw, and it's everything you guys say that it is. So I know this would have been a movie that would have made my top 10. And I like what you said there, Tad, about just is because it's true. There's just so many great movies that came out this year that have such bizarro concepts. It really feels like we're in a day and age of grindhouse themed type of movies. You know, it's like I say like bad movies, E-grade movies, B movies.
Wacky.
I love them because they feel like they have to overcompensate with their concepts and stories. With lack of everything else that goes into making a movie. So they come up with these outrageous ideas. And we're in a day and age of like, not only are you getting these outrageous ideas, but you're getting much more better productions out of it as well. So that's pretty exciting. And again, what I've seen so far, it's awesome. So, but Dustin, you saw this too, right?
I did. I really liked it. It didn't make my list, but I didn't see it would have, but I just didn't really see it as a horror movie. But
No.
I just kind of count my emotions into it. And this movie was fucking sad. Like I was
absolutely.
sad.
Oh yeah.
And I if that's what I'm feeling, then I'm like, this is like a horror movie that disguised as a drama. Like it was just super sad and depressing. And but I thought it was excellent. I don't want to spoil it for Mike, but I do think it suffers from a couple things. I think it not only this is really a thing, but like suffers from pacing predictability. We could tell when we were watching right before, we're like, oh, that person's going to explode, and they would explode, and it just, we could kind of tell just the way the camera was shot, the way the angle was, the way they had edited the movie, that we could tell when the next person was going to explode. And I don't know if you guys felt that in any way, but it was you could see it coming.
Yeah, there was half and half. I thought there were some that are just was playing out of nowhere, but there's moments that they work on the tension of like, oh, it could happen any minute.
They did, yeah.
don't
They
know.
did. They toyed with you.
And obviously that one, like they set it up. You know something's gonna happen. Yeah, that's all I can say. But that one they definitely had to get you ready for. But yeah, no, but it's jumpy in general. Just I don't know. But yeah, it's comedy, drama. Yeah.
I just felt more sad after than I did scared, or
Yeah.
it's just that's the way it left me.
We got as far as the second explosion that happens at the football game, which those kids' names in the back of their jerseys, that was hilarious. But I also I was sitting there during that moment and kind of had also a little bit of a Heathers feel, a little Heathers vibe to it.
I can see that.
Yeah. Lighthearted Heathers.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was okay. Andy, what's your number 9?
My number 9, I don't know. It's barely a horror movie, but I had so much fun watching it. I had to put it on my list because it's my kind of movie, and it's Guns Akimbo.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's definitely an Andy movie. All octane.
Well, I love the fact I like underdog stories, but I mean, normally if I would probably hate this kind of a person who's just a shit talker on the internet who, the baddest part of him is his fingers. But I love the underdog story, and the idea is just great, and him trying to handle the fact that he's got like 2 9mm screwed to his hands. He starts off in his boxers, so he's got to get pants on, and just his talk with the hobo and him trying to eat like this 2-week-old hot dog, it's just all the crazy shit that he has to go through. But eventually, he does, stand up to himself. His douchebag boss, is and I'm a little biased here. I will watch absolutely anything with Samara Weaving in it because everything that I've seen her in is awesome, and she's very easy on the eyes. But just him, basically saying, being forced into the position to, if you're going to talk all this shit, start backing it up, and this crew called Schism, I believe, which is basically, it's like a fight club where you fight to the death. And Samara Weaving who is Nyx, I believe is her name, and she's assigned to kill this Daniel Radcliffe character who's been talking shit about Schism, on the internet this whole time. She's assigned to kill him, but the only weapon that they give him is these 2 9mm that are bolted to his hands, and he's got like, I believe, 50 rounds in each ammo clip there. I assume were going up his forearms, and him trying to just survive, because initially I don't think he really wants to kill anyone, and he doesn't want to blow his dick off when he's trying to go to the bathroom. Just all the situations that he gets into, it's a fun movie for me. Normally, like the bottom part of my my lists are just the fun movies that just really resonate with me, and I had a good time. And I will pass it over to Dustin to tell me how much he hates it.
What? No. Okay,
No,
yeah, I
you're
really
like
didn't
that.
dig it that much. No, guys, this was supposed to be my movie. Like this is my movie. Like I look at this like, oh, this is what I will direct. Like this is the things that I would talk about, and the things I would incorporate if I was to make a movie. And I was so pumped to see it. I loved the concept of somebody having fucking guns with limited ammo bolted to their
Right?
hands. Like that is such an awesome idea. But it didn't go where I wanted it to go. I thought there was so many other interesting things that could have happened to Daniel Radcliffe that just didn't happen, and it never got where I wanted it to go. And Rhys Darby, who's the hobo, absolutely kills it in this movie.
Yeah.
He's so funny. He's so funny. Every scene he's in that movie, which isn't much, he steals the scene. It didn't even make my honorable mentions. I just guess I didn't really see it much as like a horror movie, although I know it was on our list. I'm just trying to keep my list. I don't want anybody to mistake my list for being something else other than a horror movie list. So I tried to make things that were only straight this year. I had a goal, but this movie, it wouldn't make my honorable mentions either, just because I still just didn't dig it, because it was supposed to be my movie and expectations were high, and it just didn't do it for me. I'm sorry, guys. I'm really sorry. I'm bringing you all down.
No, it's fine. I didn't realize that the director did Deathgasm. This was his follow up to Deathgasm.
Oh shit! I didn't know that either.
Nice.
Well, see, I like
Maybe I
that
would have
movie.
watched it
Yeah.
because I didn't watch it for the same reason that that Dustin leaves it off as honorable mentions, because it didn't look like anything related to horror for me. It looks like it'd be a fun movie, but I was being a little horror biased, I guess.
I will watch anything with Samara Weaving and Daniel Radcliffe, and so I was
Thank you.
totally in right when this came out. I know the director has sort of got canceled and a lot of controversy around him, that would be a whole different podcast. But the movie was a whole lot of fun. I thought it was wild and crazy, and to take someone as attractive as Samara Weaving and make her look like she did in this movie is pretty ballsy. And I can't say I wasn't entertained. I just love that Daniel Radcliffe has basically said, I have all the money I could ever want from Harry Potter, so now I'm just going to do things that are fun. So he does things that are crazy and fun, like this and Swiss Army Man. I
Yes.
Oh yeah.
stuff like that. Like, I just love that he could do anything he wants, and instead of doing like the Emma Watson route and doing like Beauty and the Beast and all, these big Disney movies, he's like, I want to do indie movies that are crazy and fun. And so he does. It's awesome.
Taking the Elijah Wood route,
Right. Which those two get confused for each other all the time. But
there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike, you still need to watch it.
I will, because again, it looked fun. I figured this would be one I'll watch after the fact. I just, again, the topic of is it horror? And it's, I guess it's all subjective. You and I have had this conversation
Just a million
offline
times.
here.
if I woke up with two 9mm bolted to my hands with people chasing me, that's pretty horrifying. So
yeah,
It scared the shit out of me.
right, I'll stand for it.
So, Dustin, what's your number 9?
Oh, hold on a second. Let me get my envelope here. Let's see. Okay.
I love it.
Oh, it's way down there at the bottom. Oh, God. Oh, finally, a good fucking anthology movie. The Mortuary Collection.
Hey!
Yeah.
I was super psyched for this movie because it was getting good reviews, and I needed a good anthology movie, and I thought this one had excellent style. It was shot so well. Everything comes together to one movie. Like, not to use Scare Package as a bad example, but you can tell each segment it was done differently by somebody different. This all kind of seems like cohesive in a way that it melds together, it melts together. It just felt really good, and I haven't seen an anthology movie that I really, really enjoyed for a long time, probably since like back, I don't know, since VHS 2, maybe. I don't know. Like, then you guys are probably like, man, that movie sucks. But
I like it.
just
Yeah.
I like
okay,
it.
all right. So we're on the same
Third one
page.
was a
That's
little
good.
rough, but I love the franchise.
I love the segments in this. I love Mr. Krabs as the wraparound story. For those of you who don't know,
Beautifully
that's-
portrayed.
Yes.
Clancy.
Yep.
Yeah, Clancy Brown, right?
How has Clancy Brown not done a part like this before? He was perfect.
Oh God.
Yeah.
He was made for that with that voice.
I thought it was all the segments were. I'm trying to remember them now. They were all just either. Not all of them were scary, but were either on the more bizarre side to where it fit. And I just thought
the pregnant frat guy.
Yes, like not scary, but gross and disgusting, and probably like a revenge type film, or something like that.
I guess it goes
just-
back to what Tad was saying about the last movie. If I woke up the next day after having unprotected sex with a woman and I was freaking pregnant, I'd be horrified.
Yeah, I just thought it was good. I don't know if anybody else saw it or not, but
Oh yeah,
we
this
all
is
saw
on
this
my
one.
short list. Like, this was one of the ones floating. Like, my number 10 spot had like 5 movies that were up in the air. So this literally could have just hopped in instead of host. It's right there in my actual official top 20. It is at 11. So I really did love this one.
I love this one too. This is on my list, spoiler alert, but I won't tell you where. One of my criteria for deciding my list, which helps me narrow it down a lot quicker. Did I want to watch this movie immediately after watching it the first time? And this is one of them that I was so ready to hit play again after watching it. One of the reasons being that I wanted to pay more attention to things, because I feel like there's more going on in the movie. I talked about this on a bonus episode. I feel like there's more going on in this movie than originally meets the eye. And Dustin, since you weren't on the bonus episode, I want to throw it to you. You noticed that there's one character that is literally in every single story, right?
Yes, it's the doctor.
The doctor. Yep. I feel like there is a whole other story going on in the background of all of these stories, and that is the doctor's story, and how all of these stories are your typical EC Comics Tales from the Crypt anthology stories, where they're morality tales, where the person gets their comeuppance because they've done something wrong or whatever. And this happens with the doctor too, because the doctor obviously cheats on his wife, because it was the woman that steals wallets from the guys that flirt with her at the party. It was his wallet in the first story. He basically helps euthanize, that woman, and then then tells the guy how to get rid of the body.
Yeah.
And his comeuppance is that his freaking child gets killed and eaten. So there's like a whole other story, and I freaking, I mean, maybe that's just my interpretation, but that is one of the many, many things that made me fall in love with this movie. Is that there is a whole extra story that's going on, literally in the background of this whole movie. And the funeral that happens in the wraparound is the funeral for his son, so he's even there in the wraparound.
Right. It was it was clever, but not like punching you over the back of the head. It's like, hey, look, this fucking character's in every goddamn segment.
Oh yeah,
it just worked well.
Exactly, because again, you blink and you miss it that he's even in the first story, because it's just his wallet and his driver's license.
Yeah.
It's an honorable mention for me. I mean, I pretty much agree with everything that you guys have said, but the one thing that just kept, that felt like was totally in my face was, why hasn't Don Coscarelli called up Clancy Brown to be the tall man? Because that's all I saw in this. I mean, even when he got stabbed, this yellow shit came out of his stomach, and I'm just thinking, like,
oh my god, you're right.
It's so. I mean, it was literally, you're hitting me over the head with this. It's just like, he's the new fucking tall man, because he could do it. Because he's got the voice. I mean, he could go, boy. I'm just like, wow, cast him, write it.
Clancy Brown going, boy, would probably put poop in my pants.
Exactly. And I just felt like this was even though it took place, all the stories took place in a different, time period. I mean, this movie seemed like it was like set like in the maybe late 50s, early 60s. I mean, it just had that sort of feel. I mean, did you guys get that vibe, or?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah.
They made it timeless. Like, it was hard to pinpoint a year that anything was taking place, and I think that's what helps it, because there's no cell phones, no modern technologies,
or like the whole town was like an antique store. Like everything was just sort of like aged. But I mean, I did it. It didn't quite make my top 10, but it was very well done. And yeah, I agree with everything that you guys are saying. And yes, Clancy Brown is the new tall man. I said it here.
It's good.
Anybody else want to say anything? Okay. I'll go on with my number 9 then. My number 9, this is one was kind of probably gets some bias again, also, like Jason was saying, because it's the freshest in my mind, but also had a hard time figuring out where to put it. So maybe it deserves to be higher than where it's at. But my number 9 is Wolf of Snow Hollow.
Oh,
loved it. Basically, so it's a small town. The small snow town is people are being attacked, and killed and dismembered and whatnot. What appears to be a werewolf, and the local police are trying to figure it out. One guy in particular, the son of the sheriff, who kind of takes over the police force because his dad is getting too old to do it. Which, oh my God, talk about heartbreaking with Forrest Whitaker. Well,
Not
what?
It's not Forrest Whitaker.
Or shit.
Robert Forster.
Robert Forster. God damn it. With Robert Forster. Yeah, with what goes on with him in the movie, and then how that reflects in real life. But what makes this movie great is how funny it is, but it's not scare package comedy. It's not probably, a lot of the other comedies that'll probably end up on my top 10 here. Its humor lies in the serious portrayal and reaction of our lead character. He is angry all the time, yelling at everybody, and is so snarky. It's freaking hilarious.
So funny.
Oh, when he fires that one guy in the meeting, oh my God, it was so funny. And his reactions to everything, so goddamn funny. And it gets a little dark with his character because he's a recovering alcoholic and he has a very rough relationship with his teenage daughter. And so it gets a little more darker in the third act, and I kind of feel like this isn't quite so fun anymore in the way he reacts to things. But it's got a lot of great gore in it.
Mm-hmm.
Those kill scenes are just awesome, and the leftovers the next day when the cops find the bodies are nice and gruesome. And it's got what's her name in it from Garfunkel and Oates.
Ricky Lindholm.
Yes. I love her. I'll watch her in anything. She is awesome. And so I was pretty pleased to see that she was in this movie and playing it straight as well. Like, everybody plays it straight, and that's where the comedy really, really hits home and makes you laugh out loud, because it's not goofball characters being over the top or anything. These are down to earth, real reactions that just happen to show how in real life silly human beings can be. But this movie was great.
And that werewolf looks amazing.
The werewolf is amazing.
Right?
And so I'm trying not to spoil.
Don't do it.
All right.
No spoilers.
I'm just gonna say, was a little bummed. At the same time, I get it and I love it. But I think the reason why I'm bummed is because things look so cool that I wanted it, it to end a different way. God dang it. I can't say anything else. Someone else say stuff.
I mean, I won't say too much because I did a 2-hour podcast on this one a month ago.
Yeah.
I fell in love with this movie when I first watched it. I went in not knowing what to expect and was completely blown away by Jim Cummings, who is the writer, director, and lead in this. I keep seeing people compare it to the Coen brothers. I think that's a disservice. I love the Coen brothers and think they're geniuses, but this isn't the same type of humor. It's a little, and I can understand where they're saying like black comedy, and it's a little less obvious. The humor is you're more. I don't know how to even explain it. It's just not on the nose. Like you said, it's not lowbrow humor, but there's a lot of emotions in this. It's a drama, it's a comedy, it's a horror movie. It's a little bit of everything, and I adored it. And if you have Prime, go check out his first movie, Thunder Road. It's just as good, if not better. If you like this, you'll love that too. And yeah, Jim Cummings is like the new dude on my radar. I can't wait. He already has a new horror movie wrapped and ready to roll to be put out this year or next year. So
there's just this wonderful, smart parallel between, the an alcoholic and a person who is a werewolf and losing control, once a month and, doing bad things and not remembering how that night went. And man, it's so smart. It's so good.
Yeah, Brandy and I were watching it last night, and talking. There's a lot of cool parallels with that. And at one point, she thought, "What if he's the werewolf?" And I told her, I'm like, "No, because then it would just be ripping off Wolf Cop."
Yeah, exactly like Wolf Cop. Not
the guy in Wolf Cop was also an alcoholic and
a
cop and a wolf.
I like the fact that there's and I'll try not to spoil it, but when you look at Jim Cummings, the sheriff, there's a certain look to him that gives you an idea that he might actually be the wolf. There's it's a misdirection. And I just love that part because I kept steering my way back to that. I was just like, is he the freaking werewolf? And the humor in this is absolutely stellar. I mean, there's the rapport between the sheriff and the deputies, and he's asking them questions. He just goes, "You know what? You really should have studied political science because you are really not good at this." Just his delivery and that line alone, I thought was hilarious. But
I think my favorite bit was when the librarian woke him up and scared the shit out of him. He's like, let me give you a little tip. If any other police officers are here and you do that too, you'll probably get shot. I'm more professional than that, but that'll probably be what happened. Yeah.
The whole time I'm like, this reminds me so much of Will Forte. It's like,
oh yeah.
You wake up a sheriff, reading a bunch of scary shit, it's like you might want to, do it a little bit different next time. Yeah. I won't say much more because I'm almost for certain that you'll be hearing about this again. But yeah, really, really, really enjoyed it.
Cool. Dustin, you want to add anything or you want to save it for later?
I think you all said it all. It's solid werewolf flick. I liked it. I mean, if anybody's listening, and because we haven't spoiled it, I don't watch the trailer. I think it's a disservice to the movie. I think the trailer's fucking dog shit. I watched the trailer twice, and I'm like, I'm not watching this movie. But then it kept coming up. And I watched it. And I'm like, this is good. This is really good. Why did I watch the trailer? I do this every year with one movie. I'm like, why did I fucking watch the trailer? Because this trailer is so bad. Oh, anyway, yes, I agree with everything everybody said here. Is solid flick. After I watched it, I went and looked up the Duder, and I really want to watch his first movie because a lot of the reviews were talking about how that one was better, or, than whatever. I don't know. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna go check out more for sure.
Sweet. Okay, so now we're moving on to 8. Man, we're cooking. We're moving along here. So number 8. Tad, why don't you start us off with what your number 8 is?
My number 8, and I don't have an envelope, is from director Lee Whannell. It's Invisible Man.
Yeah.
A new take on a classic Universal monster. And I won't lie, Invisible Man is not one of my favorites. We've had many interpretations of it. We had Kevin Bacon as a creepy rapist. We've had the classic bandage guy. We've had all kinds of stuff. And
Chevy Chase.
Yeah, Chevy Chase and John Carpenter couldn't get it right. But Lee Whannell knocked it out of the park, man. I really, really like this one. This is obviously going to be like my biggest budget Hollywood movie on the list. But I couldn't resist it. It was super tense. One of the few movies I got to see in the theater this year. And I was quick to check it out again when it hit on demand very shortly after, because they made it available to watch at home because of COVID. And it was just as tense the second time around. And I was stoked to see it again and check out and see more stuff that I missed the first time around. A great lead performance, really cool twist on the story to make it more grounded and believable. Almost like this could really happen, and which is creepy. And it's definitely, to me, was scary. It's a story of it's Invisible Man. If you haven't seen it, it's very simple. It's a rich asshole and a woman trying to get out of that relationship, and he uses his smarts and money to basically make her life a living hell with a suit that makes him invisible. So it had a lot of really heartwarming stuff with the lead and her trying to get over this abusive relationship, and people thinking she's nuts because they think that she can't get over this relationship. And there's some really truly shocking moments of this movie that really surprised me. I just thought it was so strong from beginning to end. I think we've talked about it several times on this podcast, but if you're listening to a best of horror episode and you haven't seen Invisible Man, come on, what are you waiting on?
What makes, to go with what you were saying, what makes this movie work over most other interpretations of the Invisible Man concept is this is a movie that uses the invisibility to push along the story and create the actual horror elements, and used smartly to misdirect everybody around her into thinking that she's crazy. Like down to blaming her for a murder in a crowded restaurant, for crying out loud.
Yeah, that's the scene I was saying was totally took me by surprise and was like, holy fuck, man.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, they open with like the most tense scene ever in a movie. Her trying to escape the house was like a hold your breath, holy shit moment too. But man, like that scene, it just came out of nowhere.
Yeah, so it really feels like this is a movie that uses the invisibility for the story and for the horror better than most of the others, where a lot of the other movies really focuses on, this is what this would look like if you had an invisible person, like if they ate a sandwich and what would happen, or this is their footprints in the snow because this person's invisible, that kind of thing. But where this movie really uses the invisibility in the story.
I thought that, and I know I'm just a dude, but like what I felt that with that opening scene and this whole movie is like, I felt that Lee really nailed the abusive relationship stuff. Like really, I don't know, hits home to like.
Yeah, I know some women who have seen this and it was like a hard watch for them because
exactly what I was trying not to say, but yeah, for real, like it's so fucking tense. This guy, and the shit that Elizabeth Moss has to go through to get out. Man, it's heavy.
I feel like Lee Wannell can do no wrong at this point. I mean, his writing has failed, hasn't failed to disappoint me. I mean, it's just he's so damn good. This I have a feeling that this movie as well will show up later in the list.
Yep.
But I just gotta say, it's just like this movie. It almost as it progresses, it gets more towards personal with the viewer. I mean, I think it goes to the age old question. It's like what you don't see scares you even more, because after that restaurant scene, I was convinced that this son of a bitch was everywhere.
Oh yeah,
he could come out.
Nothing. You're just like scared.
It's because like I had like such a sense. It screwed with my sense of security while she was in that restaurant, and then just out of the blue that happened. I was on pins and needles for the rest of the film. I was just like, okay, I got to be ready. I got to be ready for anything at this point. And it's just like, and if a movie can do that to me when I'm not really even freaking seeing anything and the music ain't changing, that's effective. Really
made you watch every inch of the frame.
That is effective.
Yeah, never has an empty frame been so intense.
Right.
Oh, did everybody get to see this one? I didn't look.
Yeah.
Okay,
we all did.
Of course. I'll never forget this movie. It's kind of hard to say because it brought back a little bit of normalcy, because we were quarantined and still kind of are, should be anyway. Being at home and like being absolutely fucking terrified and not being able to go out to a theater and seeing this pop up, a movie that is supposed to go to the theater, pop up on Amazon Prime. I know it was $20. I did not care. I was like, I need to see something. I need something to be normal.
Yep.
And I'm going to watch a horror movie that I should be sitting in the theater watching, but watching it at home. And that the experience overall just made me feel normal again, even though it's a terrifying story and just having terrifying outcomes kind of made me feel normal. So you guys have kind of already said it all about, like just, abuse, mental, physical, it's all there. But just the experience that I had watching it, I think was something in itself.
Yeah, I think that will like be a theme throughout this episode because we've digested movies in a different way this year completely. I mean, I've seen maybe 2 or 3 of the movies on my list in a theater, and that's crazy. Usually, it's almost everything I've seen in a theater, one way or another. And I definitely do think that, factors into things. There's certain movies I saw at the drive-in that I probably wouldn't have liked as much if I ended up just watching them at home on a Saturday afternoon. That added to the experience. So, that is cool that, if there's any kind of silver lining to the worst year of our lifetimes, is that we can sort of, hopefully this is the only time we record this episode and talk about how, we had to see movies at home when they're supposed to hit theaters, but next year Warner Brothers' whole slate is going straight to HBO Max. So next year we'll probably be talking about it again. So
hopefully be the tail end.
Right.
All right. So moving on, Jason, what's your number 8?
Number 8. Speaking of seeing things in a weird way, I didn't want to tell anyone this. I got this bootleg and I didn't share it with anyone else. Halloween Kills.
Yeah, right.
I'm just kidding. I just wanted,
What?
I just
holding out.
Oh, I wanted to practice acting for a second, and that was fun. So just kidding.
Dick.
Tad kills Jason.
That's what would happen if that was real. So this will be disappointing now that I said that, and it's a movie I can't really. It's crazy that it's on my list, but I freaking loved it, and I think it's really great. And it's The Craft Legacy. Yeah, I know, guys. Right? Who would have thought?
I'm not surprised.
You went to Hobby Lobby crafting, right?
Man, what
Nice.
such a empowering film for gals like me. And I don't know. So I really freaking liked it. I know I just talked about it the other day, but yeah. So I guess we decided it wasn't a remake; it was more of a reboot. But I'm just So it's a new version,
a requel.
Right. So it could exist in the same universe with these new 4 girls, and I just thought it was super freaking solid. Blumhouse, kicked butt. All 4 girls are fantastic, and the story's great. And who would have thought David Duchovny could be an a-hole? Michelle Moynihan, she's an Iowa alum, so you got to like what she's in. It was good. It was good. It was awesome. And I'm alone on this tree branch.
No, I think that once again, sort of Dustin talking about the experience, maybe even so, this is something that happens every year for me. And once again relates to what Dustin was saying about like Guns Akimbo or Wolf of Snow Hollow. Like when you go in with certain expectations and that movie isn't that, you can either be pleasantly surprised or disappointed. And this one, I didn't have high expectations for, but I threw it on at like midnight on a Saturday once because I was like, this will probably be something I don't need to like have 100% of my attention on to understand the story. And I was right. And I enjoyed it for what it was. It was easily digestible. It's like ordering a Domino's pizza. It's not the best pizza, but it's still fucking pizza.
Yeah,
Well said.
I like pizza.
I'm trying to think.
Never really had a bad pizza. You know.
I've had some pretty bad pizza, but like this is good
Still ate
pizza.
it.
Like especially when you're really hungry. Like I thought it was. Like I'm saying, I did not go in expecting much at all, and it's sort of a thing now. Like some of the fandom is pretty toxic, and people go after movies when they are even slightly threatened by feminism in a movie, and especially with a reboot. We saw it with the new Black Christmas last year from Blumhouse, and we saw it again with this one. And I think these movies are not made for those people. So, if I just don't get, it's not for that audience. So leave it alone and let people, I remember the original Craft came out when my sister was in middle school, and they all thought it was rad, and they wanted to get like Ouija boards and shit. And I hope this did the same thing for a new generation of teenagers who saw it and felt like empowered, and not necessarily want to practice witchcraft, but it has more to say than that.
Because Tad owns stock in Ouija boards, so he wants the sales to go up.
Well, they are sending me checks right next to Shudder. I don't know if you've noticed, but my 10 and 9 were both Shudder movies. So
Yeah,
and
Lot of
Blumhouse, for this one, Invisible Man, now The Craft, they're just sending me all the stuff.
well, thanks.
A lot of
thanks
checks
for
coming
backing
from
me up.
Salem, Massachusetts, huh?
I'm glad.
Absolutely.
And just definitely want to let everyone know that don't be scared off by a new Craft movie.
I messaged you after I saw you checked it off on the list, and I was like, so the new Craft, like, and you're like, pretty good. And I was like, all right, I'm going to give it a watch because I trust your taste, and I liked it. So
Hey,
it's not in my top 20, but it was fun. It was good.
I'm kind of the opposite. I'm not. I didn't see it. Not that I don't want to see it, but it
because I
wasn't.
said I liked it.
No,
Yeah.
it wasn't a priority to see it. Not because it's a new Craft movie. Ew, why do a
Mhm.
remake of the Craft? It's because it's a new Craft movie. I didn't really care for the first one. So, not to say that I don't want to watch it and not see it. It just didn't. It wasn't a priority as far as trying to knock out films for 2020. But thank you, Jason, for your number 8. Okay, so Dustin, what is your number
Andy.
8? Or Andy is next with his number 8.
My number 8 for this year is Freaky.
Yeah.
Freaky.
Like I said, just I'm knocking my fun ones out of the way from the get-go.
So you're going to have a super dreary, like 1 through 5.
Yeah, kind of. Well, no, mix and match, really. This was just, like I said, it's just a hell of a lot of fun. I love Vince Vaughn's performance. As being a 16-year-old girl, just trying to, the way she's trying to adjust to Vince Vaughn's body, saying that he's a giant, and and going to the bathroom. And so, I mean, there's not a whole lot of kills in this movie, particularly by the girl. I mean, from the get-go, we have a few good ones, with like the wine bottle and stuff like that. But
That opening scene was so cool, like so much fun.
Yeah, and just there's very subtle girl-like things that Vince Vaughn does that I just think is just hilarious. But I mean, you just kind of got to catch, like, when he's sitting in the back, of that car, and he does like this little shoulder shimmy, like, it's very subtle, but it's just so damn funny to see him do it. Yeah, and it's this was what's the word I'm looking for? Like, not cultured, but very it had a very diverse cast, which I thought was really, really good. And just the situation at home with the girl's mother and just with her dad dying, it was sad. And of course, seeing douchebaggy, football players get messed up, that's always fun. I always like that. Yeah, I mean, it had a lot of the high school tropes, not just out of horror. You had like the bitchy, the mean girls and stuff like that. But yeah, just it's Freaky Friday with a horror twist, and it's fun.
Freaky Friday the 13th. I loved it.
Yes.
I felt like, and I spoke about this before, and spoiler, I'll speak about it again. But it's Vince Vaughn. He was like the biggest thing in comedy for a while. He was the guy, and then his sort of taste of comedy sort of became unpopular. Like it was phased out. The bro comedy sort of went away for a while, and then he sort of researched his career in drama, and he's a fantastic dramatic actor as well. If you haven't seen Brawl in Cell Block 99, he's awesome in that.
He's so awesome in that.
And he was in True Detective season 2, I believe. He's actually a very good actor. And then this reminds you that how funny he truly can be. I felt like he knocked out of the park. He was a scene stealer, and I agree with what Andy had to say about the casts being diverse and very funny. And Christopher Landon hasn't done wrong so far. I loved Happy Death Day to You, and Freaky. Just keep turning classic genre stories into horror movies, and I'll be happy.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what he does next. And yeah, he is quickly climbing up the ladder of my favorite directors of this new generation. Didn't know until I was doing research on him that he's Michael Landon's son. That's cool.
Okay.
And he also did Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse.
Nice.
So far, everything I've seen of his, he's batted 100. Now, with that said, I have not seen Paranormal Activity, the marked ones that he directed. So I guess we'll wait to see if he's still batting 100. Probably not. And he did one called Burning Palms that sounded really interesting too. So I need to check that out. But I'm just loving what this guy is doing. And I mean it's right up my alley, right? Horror comedy. But I don't want to get in too much into it because spoilers, it's going to show up on my list. So I will say one last thing and let somebody else talk. But I did get to see this in the theater. It's the first movie I've seen in an actual movie theater since March. And I'm so happy I got to see it on a big screen.
We saw the same last movie in a theater and the same first movie back in the theater. So
that's true.
I love it. Yeah,
we did.
And they're sort of linked, Friday 13th and Freaky Friday. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And who did Jason? Did you say anything?
Time for Dustin to dunk on it.
No, I'm not gonna dunk on it. I love this. Holy fuck! Shouldn't Vince Vaughn be the next Jason Voorhees when he comes busting through that fucking
huge
door?
And lumbering, dude.
Oh my god! I'm like, as soon as that happened, I'm like, you have Vince Vaughn be Jason Voorhees. Like, I don't care if he's not gonna act in it. Like, if that's his mannerisms that he's gonna use, like as a killer, like that's perfect. And I agree with the running. The running when he is the girl is hilarious. The contrast is what makes that so good is because as a killer, he doesn't run. A killer never runs. And then and he's not even built for it because when he does run, it's awful as the teenager. And at the end of the movie, when he's trying to catch up to them, everybody's running towards the girl who is now the serial killer. He's like out of breath and they're just blowing by him. Like he's not built to run. His running stat is very low. So, I mean, I had a hell of a time with it. I thought it was fun as hell. Vince Vaughn, I like Tad was saying, I remember back to like The Cell and Psycho remake. Like he is excellent in those movies and he's so good. So he's got the chops to act for sure.
Yeah.
He got kind of maybe pigeonholed into those comedy acts, but he can act when he's in the best scene in the movie, because it has many great scenes, I think, is when the mother is talking to him as the daughter in the changing room. And he's just bringing it in, you know.
I had,
emotion.
I did not expect to get like emotional during this movie. And
that was such an excellent scene.
Yeah.
Right.
I loved it. I loved it just as much as you guys did. Lots of fun.
Makes the kid wet his pants in the bathroom by just lifting him up. Because I mean, like, Vince Vaughn is like 6'5", you know, and he just hoists this kid up. He's just like, if you ever, you know, good stuff.
Yeah. I'm gonna move on before I say something more, because I want this is gonna be talked about more. I just know it. Okay, so now, Dustin, what is your number 8?
Well, number 8. Okay, hold on. Well, I'm out of fucking envelopes. You know, I'm on a budget here, guys.
Already?
So let me see. Gotta get my dice here. All right. Oh, right. There it is. Number 8. Becky.
Hey, Becky!
I never thought Kevin James would make it on our list.
Holy shit!
Oh my
right?
gosh. He's out of fucking nowhere, Kevin James. Holy cow.
Good.
I heard this was good, and another trailer that I wish I hadn't watched. Kevin James steals this movie, and so does the little girl, and it is about them, and it should be about them. But another role. What's the dad? A lot of people kind of out of their wheelhouse in this. The dad is a funny guy too.
Shit, from Community.
Yes, what's his name? I don't remember his name.
Why am I so bad at names?
Duderman dude. I don't know. Like that's he does an excellent job too for something that's more drama, more scary related. This I'm trying to remember the plot, but I just remember that the family now with a new mother and son. Coming into Becky's family, go out to a cabin that's more for her nostalgia with her mother who has passed away. It's that whole story where dad introduces a stepmom and step brother, and she's just not vibing with it. And so she kind of goes out and does her own thing. Meanwhile, I don't even know what his group is, like this weird, like neo-Nazi, like religious type group come to their home, and I guess we can count it as like a home invasion. Would you guys agree with that?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. And then the whole home invasion scenario goes down, but Becky, who is a little girl, takes over and puts these again, I don't know what to call them, neo-Nazis, puts them down and does it very efficiently. Excellent movie.
Right.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I love this movie too. It's going to be on my list as well. It's so good. I feel like this is the year for like asshole children in movies. I mean, granted, you love Becky, don't get me wrong, but
Better than Children Assholes.
Completely different kind of movie.
He's not wrong.
I mean, I don't know how many movies I watched for this year that had just like evil, nasty children in it, but this one is freaking amazing. And yeah, what's that actor's name, Jason?
Robert Mallet.
Yeah, he was probably one of my favorite characters. Because I feel like he's one of the neo-Nazi guys, but he doesn't want to hurt the little girl, and kind of
he's done everything, character actor, in makeup a lot, and always
he's very vulnerable.
Yeah. Yep. Thank you. He's very vulnerable.
Leading role. It's cool.
And Kevin James, it's pretty ballsy to cast two comedic actors. It's one thing to cast a comedic actor in something serious, but then cast two comedic actors in this serious movie there's got to be
no funny dialogue. They're not being funny at all.
Nothing funny going on in this movie. You would see those names on a poster and instantly think there's going to be comedy in it.
Right.
pretty ballsy to not only one but two comedic actors, and 100% right. They're both great. I've always been a Kevin James fan, honestly, all the way back to his stand-up days. So it was really cool to get to see him do something like this.
Yeah, I thought it was. I can't think of a time where a third movie in a series. I mean, the first two Paul Bart movies were not my wheelhouse, but this third one, like
Off the
wild.
rails.
Yeah, so much better. I can't think of a franchise where it peaked at the third movie, but
Paul Blart, neo-Nazi.
If I had one criticism of maybe a little bit too much CGI blood, I wish it could have went a little bit more practical, not that end. I think it had a better impact. But I think overall, yeah, this was one of my favorite for the year.
Very, very cool. Very cool. Jason, did you have anything to add?
Nope, I agree with everything you said. I love it. It's great. It's awesome. Must watch it.
So then my number 8 is probably going to be the one that's I'm maybe catch everybody off guard out of my entire top 10 list for those who know me. But my number 8 is Vivarium.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I know how you feel about this.
Movie's
Again,
fuck.
another asshole child. See? See, this is the year of asshole children in movies. I love this movie. Now, Dustin's been complaining about the trailers. The trailers what sold me on this one. Right out of the gate. Just the concept alone of the first half of the trailer of people getting lost in one of those newer development areas is a freaking reality fear, man. Because I have gotten lost in those things before. That is a real thing. Maybe not to the extreme of this movie, but I love the kind of the fake reality and avant-garde look of this whole community with the greenhouses and the obviously fake clouds in the sky. And Jesse Eisenberg is awesome as always, and there's so many meanings and messages and themes going on in this movie that I really, really dug. And if you know me, I'm not a message over plot type of guy. You got to give me a story. If I will find your hidden meaning in your movie all day long, but you still have to give me a story. And I still thought this was an intriguing story that kept me captivated the whole time as these people cannot get out of this situation. So I just really, really, really enjoyed this movie. I mean, it's about a couple. They're looking to get a house together, and they go to this really weird community to look at this house, and they just can never leave. And they end up, sort of kind of being forced to raise this child, and the child is really weird. And Andy's favorite character in the movie.
Fucking motherfucker.
I feel like, yeah, me and Andy relate on this where it's like, I'm very open with the fact that I never desire to ever have a child in my life or even in my house. But
Touché.
This movie plays on that 100%. And I'm a claustrophobic and very nervous person, and this movie fucked with me bad the whole time. I wanted to turn it off, and I had to go do something at the end, but that is what they were going for. It hit me right in the nerves, and I don't want to ever see it again.
I don't want to ever see it again either. And I don't think I ever had so many scenarios of wanting to harm a child going through my head in my entire life.
This movie is the best birth control.
Oh, holy shit, that little prick. But the thing is, I cannot.
It's obviously not his voice, and anytime he talked, I just thought it was really creepy.
Yeah, a little George McFly with a ball sack growing out of his neck.
Mike, are you gonna buy this? Are you gonna watch it again?
That's the thing,
That's
both
your
Andy,
criteria.
both Andy and Tat. I was going to say that, again, Was this a movie I would watch again? Absolutely. And another criteria for my top 10, is this a movie I want in my collection? Absolutely. So it's interesting that I want to watch it again, and both Tad and Andy never want to have anything to do with this movie again.
But you
But
get
I will say
Oh,
this:
no, I
it was
do get
very, very well made, and I cannot deny the effect that this movie had on me. So therefore, I mean, is it it's effective in terms of, you know, horrifying me. I'm just like, Jesus Christ, I don't ever want to be in this situation ever. You know, it's just like when you guys, I think I mentioned this before, it's like, it's when you guys had me watch Open Water and I'm with the person, imagine being with the person that you love most in this world and you have no way of helping them. You're stuck in this situation. And I mean, the only positive upswing is that you're not going through it alone, but God damn, what a morbid piece of work.
Yep.
Yeah, it had a lot of the what if scenarios. You know, like when I watched it, I was thinking, what would I do in this situation? And those characters pretty much do what I would do when I would do it. Like
Yeah.
burning down the house, you know, throwing away all the shit, body slamming the kid. I would have done all of that.
I'd have done that from the get-go.
Yeah. And there's just some neat visuals in this movie too. That moment when the, I guess, alien kid like lifts up the street to crawl up underneath it. That was just cool looking.
That was very cool. I will
Yeah.
agree with that.
Yeah, this is another example of what I was saying earlier, where this year has a lot of really creative, crazy shit, and this is definitely in there.
Mhm.
Yes, it is.
And I think maybe that's why I appreciate it so much, because it is so creative, both visually and in the story. Yeah, I mean, I'm just captivated by the sets in this, and
Yeah, they turned a nightmare into a movie.
yeah, the suburban. They take
Yep.
the suburban dream and turn it into a suburban nightmare, and that I loved that theme. So, moving on to number 7. We're at 7 already. Nice. Tad, what's your number 7?
My number 7 might be a controversial one, I can already tell, because we've had a bit of discussion on what is and what isn't horror.
Oh.
And this one would probably be higher if it was more horror. So my the way I sort of judge things too is like, this one was really, really fantastic, but I wouldn't necessarily call it a straight horror, so it cannot be as close to the top. Otherwise, it's one of my favorite movies of the year, and it is from director Andrew Patterson. It is The Vast of Night. This movie was so cool. A single shot movie, basically following a radio broadcaster through a small town in the 50s, I think it was 50s or 60s. And some strange shit starts happening in town, and they're limited to the technology of their time as to figure out what it is. There's a switchboard operator who's getting calls of suspicious sort of UFO activity. This one to me was like, if like Dustin was saying with Guns Akimbo, and that would be like what he would direct, I would love to do something like this. It was just so simple and gorgeous, and I can't say I've had verbal diarrhea over this one every time I talk about it. If you've listened to this show before, I spoke about it when I saw it, and I spoke about it when Jason saw it. We probably rambled on for a half an hour about it. I love this one.
Yeah, this was the first time I saw it too, and it was the last thing I watched, and it I rated it very high, but it again, I didn't really count it as a horror movie. I was getting a lot of like Steven Spielberg vibes, it felt like a real adventure, and the dialogue is like butter. It just everybody is so good at what they are saying,
right?
And their characters are so developed. Even the ones that hardly have any screen time are so good. It's just everything looks like it's supposed to. That gym, I
Yeah.
have pictures from my mom went to high school. That gym is to the T of what that high school looks like. Like it's everything's perfect. And I wish it was more on the horror side so I could put it on my list because it would be very high, but it just didn't have that particular vibe for me to put it on there. But man, this was so fucking good.
I can't agree. I can't agree more. I mean, it didn't make my list, for the same reasons you guys just specified, but I was mesmerized by this movie, and I'm a sucker for time oriented pieces. Everything they got, down to wardrobes to soda bottles, and just like I like old gadgets and gizmos. Just looking at that switchboard, I just thought was just it was cool the way it operated.
Her recorder.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. The cars, and I was going to mention the gym, because it gives that small town feeling, and of course they're in New Mexico, which is close to Roswell and everything, and I almost feel like this would be like almost like some sort of very great pilot or like really good companion piece to like the X-Files. At least that's the vibe that I got. But
Sure.
yeah, just I mean, you really got the impression, and this must be like the one shot sort of feel. You really got the impression that you were there with them. You were running along with them, and you were on this trip to get to the bottom of what was going on, and it engaged me a lot more than I thought it was going to, and that makes a damn good movie, in my opinion.
Yeah, the way it was shot really helps lend that feeling. You really are with them and following them along.
It's really great storytelling. I mean, when the guy is telling the story over the radio, we have zero visualization of it. We're just in our head. And this is what I always liked about Pontypool, for the same reason.
Yeah.
Somebody telling a story over the radio, and you just have to absorb it, and you have your own image in your head of what is happening and how it's told. And that first story of the man calling in and telling how things went down when he was in the military is excellent. Like that's you're in it. If you're not in it after that long ass shot through you kind of see the scale of the town, but when it weaves in and out of houses and eventually to the radio station, if that doesn't pull you in, the story will of that being over the radio. And then if that still doesn't pull you in, you're probably like brain dead or something. So, but either way, excellent stuff.
Speaking of, I heard Mike turn this one off.
Oh,
Mike.
Yeah.
Explain
Mike,
yourself.
There's about to be fisticuffs.
I read it out.
You son of a... I finished it.
I see it colored in on the thing, so I was going to
finished
ask.
it. I stopped for the same reason why it's on it, why it's not on the majority of you fuckers' list, okay? Because sorry, it's not a horror movie. It's a great fucking movie.
Yeah.
Same reasons I didn't watch Guns of Gumbo or whatever that one was called. Because like I wanted to make sure I got like horror movies. Well, and and I know it's subjective. It is all subjective. So for me, this wasn't a horror movie.
Now I want to see the kid from Gummo with the hands, with guns bolted to his hands. Anyways.
But it is a great movie. I like the comparison to something like Steven Spielberg. It definitely has that feel. I felt like dialogue wise, it was very Robert Altman. So that was really cool. I mean, and I'm always a sucker for just fast paced, rapid fire dialogue.
This could be considered fear of the unknown, though, is what it is.
Sure. And the closest thing for me to horror was the scene with the old lady and her telling her story. It was definitely very, as far as the way it was shot, it was very atmospheric, and it was kind of creepy, but
But the whole movie is very suggestive.
Yeah.
It doesn't come out and show or say anything. It's just all talking, really.
To me, like as a kid, there was nothing scarier than Unsolved Mysteries, and this would be on there. And to me, it qualifies because of that, like Andy said, the unknown, real life situations in a time where they could not get on a cell phone and text somebody, and it wouldn't be all over social media and the news. To me, it is scary, but that's why I started this off. I said it will be controversial because I know that it's not straight horror, and if it was, it would be higher on my list because it's right up there in probably my top 3 movies of the year. I adore it that much, but I put it lower on my horror list because of it loses points for not being strictly horror.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it is a great movie. I loved it. I really enjoyed it. I love all the elements of it. The era is always fun. And in the 50s, I love the small town feel of everything, to where you can literally run anywhere you want to in this town, because she does over and over again. When the guy is driving a car and then has to hop in the car to go pick her up because she's running to the next house that she's going to get the baby from or whatever, so there's some humor in there that I also feel is very character driven comedy, kind of going back to what I was saying about whatever movie was we were talking about before. The Wolf of Snow Hollow, that it's funny because it's real, and and the radio stuff. I love all the radio station stuff from that era, and the switchboard stuff was fun to watch. And I could have watched 10 minutes of her pulling those cords and popping in there.
Right?
Fascinated with the way that was in the day.
And a 10-minute dialogue scene of just one shot on her at the switchboard.
Oh yeah.
So good.
And that's the thing, they always say show don't tell, but this is a dialogue driven movie, and it really works. So it's thumbs up for me. Just didn't make my list because things.
And y'all can watch it on Amazon Prime.
So Jason, definitely watch it. Jason, what's your number 7?
My number 7 is the Richard Stanley comeback film, Color Out of Space.
Woo!
Man, this was so fun. I wasn't sure I was going to like it, because I don't do drugs. So I was a little worried at first. Just a bit.
This is as close as you get.
It might be, and it's a safe way.
You don't have to do drugs because you saw this movie.
That's true, and maybe I shouldn't. But we just talked about this on the last episode.
The last one, because it was a Comet episode. Yeah.
But man, I'm personally not wrapped up in the Nick Cage hype myself. He's great, sure. I don't disagree, but
was Mandy on your list last year or the year before?
Really?
I'm not saying
Mandy was on mine, definitely.
No,
I like Mandy
honestly,
a lot.
I'm shocked though that it's not, because visually it would be I would think it would be a movie. I know you're more captivated by the visuals,
but yeah, like I said, Lavinia definitely was the star of the show, and she was amazing to watch. And I just, like I said on the episode, I'm like, Tommy Chong was awesome. A sentence I never said until the last episode. But
he was awesome.
Yeah, so I know all you guys got a hard on for this movie.
Well, you can probably skip my number 7, because my number 7 is also Color Out of Space.
Nice.
Loved this movie. Just how everybody reacts different to the meteor landing. Lavinia eventually starts cutting herself. Nick Cage, is the Raging Cajun, and he goes back to he starts splitting personalities with his father, which him talking to Lavinia is just hilarious. Why don't you get the fuck out of here? I
was hoping.
that's good. Just, I mean, and visually, this movie is gorgeous. And like you said, Tommy Chong, and
Who knew?
yeah, right. Just, I mean, and then the wife and what's this, Jack, I believe, just meshing together and just forming this really just only from the mind of Lovecraft can this creepy damn thing, who's just saying mommy and just God, that
Maybe
thing's
the
hideous.
most horrific scene / moment in all of these movies from this year.
I'm sorry, in
So
cinema
powerful.
history, I've never seen a creature so disturbing and hideous and creepy, yet so sympathetic.
Mm.
Yeah, and the way she's lapping up water, it just like, God, it made me, and of course, the llama, society, looked like something out of Slither made llama. I don't know, decoupage, whatever it was. I'm glad that thing got shot. That thing was just nasty. And Nicolas Cage being Nicolas Cage, I mean, it's a car crash that you cannot help but want to watch and then rewind and then just watch it over again because what am I watching? Yeah, Color Out of Space, my number 7 as well. So you won't need to call on me. Like it because I watched it before we had to watch it for the podcast last time, and I loved it even more the second time around. So thumbs
Nice.
up for Lovecraft.
On Shudder too, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
on Shudder. Thank you. Send a check. I was lucky enough to see this in theaters. I cannot believe this movie came out this year. It feels like I watched it a fucking lifetime ago. And I saw it in a sold out showing at Film Scene with a group of people. And like Dustin said, that really added to the first showing. That was like people reacted at the right times. Seeing it with a huge crowd was perfect. And then I was a little scared to watch it again for the podcast, and I revisited it, and much like Andy, I enjoyed it maybe even more the second time because I caught a lot more that I must have missed, while people were laughing at Cage or reacting to things. Watching it alone and being able to sort of absorb more, this is one that I will own, and this is one I will rewatch, even though it has a lot of nightmare feel to it.
And anybody know what brand of car that was that they drove? It's apparently
It was a Volvo, wasn't it?
no,
Yeah.
it was a 1987 cocksucker because that's what Nicolas Cage kept calling it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I like this movie too. I mean, I feel like it didn't make my top 10, unfortunately. Maybe
Why do you
because
hate this movie?
oh my god,
Sorry.
it
Did
probably
you turn it off after 5 minutes?
Hey, I already own it on Blu-ray, so there you
Yeah.
go.
Do you not consider it horror?
No, it's very
And when-
horror. I think it's like I said on the comment episode. Never have I ever seen the color pink be so creepy. The biggest heartbreak of the whole movie. Yes, the mutated child mom monster was very heartbreaking, but just what happens to the boy in this movie, I feel like he is shit on through the entire movie, even before the craziness happens, that he can't catch a break. And how many times does he get yelled at for not locking up the alpacas?
Well,
Yeah.
it's screwing with his sense of time. Everybody is affected differently in this,
And then what happens to him in the movie too? It's just like, my heart went out to him more than anybody else.
Well,
Of course, the mom, lopping off her fingers and saying dinner's ready. It's just like, oh, God. Anytime there are vegetables in a horror movie, I automatically just get squeamish because I know somebody's, fingers are going to get messed up. It's just like vegetables, fingers gone. Okay.
I'll be
That's
honest
just
with
a formula.
I'll be honest with you. That might have been almost the part of the movie that took me out, because it felt. I mean, and this was that before the meteor hit? I can't remember.
I think it was
but
after.
Was it after? So I guess you can write it off as things are already starting to go a little crazy, or these people are already starting to go a little crazy. But they're so blasé about it, before, during, and after, And I'm sorry, what parents are not going to take the children with them when they all go to the when they go to the hospital to put her finger back on?
They got to take care of the alpacas.
Fuck the alpacas. Mom lost a finger. I mean, if it was me, I would have wanted to make sure I was there at the hospital, with my mom, for crying out loud. So I don't know. It's a minor thing, but it felt a little. The characters felt a little odd in that scene. But
I really just want to I just almost want to buy tomatoes so they can go bad, so I can eat them like Nick Cage and slam them into the fucking container in the kitchen.
Sounds like
I love that scene.
Attacker bonus video.
Yeah. Recreate that thing. Dustin.
What do you want me to do?
Well, this was good. It feels like I've watched it a lifetime ago.
Yeah.
I don't know why that is, but I liked it. I think you guys maybe are a little bit hard on Nick Cage on this, though. I don't think he does anything out of character to the point where it's.
I think he's very subdued in this. Yes.
I feel like he plays it right. He plays it correct. He's not over the top, Nick Cage, although his actions are over the top, but I think that's what it would be in this scenario. And I think he does an excellent job in this. I like this movie I don't want to compare it to Mandy, but I liked it way better than Mandy. I think his performance in this is 100 times better.
Mm-hmm.
It's very believable, very realistic. And I think if I were to watch this in a setting with a bunch of people, I probably wouldn't be pointing and laughing at Nick Cage. I would probably be throwing up in a bucket because those two people were fucking fused together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think him going crazy on the tomatoes and him yelling about the alpacas were the two moments that the crowd loved, laughed at Nick Cage. Other than that, it was pretty damn quiet because people were just sort of horrified.
But after he goes off on the tomatoes, and his wife is yelling at him to fix the reception for the router, and he's just he's slamming down, and then he just instantaneously just calms down and just goes, "Oh yeah, I think that's a good idea, honey." Just like, what the hell? He just completely flatlines. It's just okay. It's a little out there.
So Andy already had his number 7, right? So we got Dustin. What is your number 7?
Oh, is it my turn?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm gonna have to dig deep for this one. Hold on. Let me get out my metal detector here.
Where you digging?
All right. Let's see. Where is it? Where? Oh, I'm getting closer. Oh, fuck. There it is. Oh, shit. There it is. I found it. I think I found it. Yeah, I found it. Sorry. It's Love and Monsters. I don't know how many of y'all saw this, but this was another big budget horror movie, monster movie. I was excited to see a monster movie. It is definitely about love, and it is definitely about monsters, and it has both of those things. The title does not lie.
Nice.
The monsters in it are badass. They're CGI, but they look really fucking cool. I liked the main character. It's a post-apocalyptic movie. It's got why am I blanking on his name? All I can think is Russ Wheeler. From Days of Thunder. Henry, what the fuck is his name? Yes. Sorry, I just blanked out there.
Here, I love it.
All of his movies,
Um,
he went with Days of Thunder.
So yeah, I thought this movie was excellent. It's sad in some parts. A lot of horror movies this year disguised as dramas, but this was just a kid going on an adventure through a land that has been riddled with monsters that are from a comet. So it's kind of old school in a way, or not a comet. I'm trying to remember it. There was a comet coming towards Earth, so we sent all our nukes up to blow it up, but then it rained down chemicals and it turned like insects and things into giant bugs. And so he's pretty much traveling like just 40 miles, I think, which, you know, if you were following a road, probably would take maybe, you know, a couple of days or so. But this is an incredible trek across some harsh landscape to get to his girlfriend that he had before the apocalypse. And that's pretty much the run of the mill of the story. But he has an adventure. He meets up with a dog, which is the saddest thing ever. But
Not watching
it's no. It's really good. Not to spoil it, but this was another theater movie that I rented that was expensive. But I thought it was super solid, enough to be in my list, and had all of the things to not just horror, but still be enough to be on the list. Did anybody else check it out?
Yeah, from our
I
list,
did
it looks
not.
like nobody had
Yeah, I
seen it.
think you nailed it.
besides you.
Bummer.
Missed the radar
Okay.
on this one. Gosh, don't know about it.
I remember seeing this on Bloody Disgusting, and this had to be right before the pandemic. So it was another one that was supposed to probably make some money out on the theaters. But it's, I don't know. It just obviously had to come to streaming, and it's a big budget movie. I think it's a Universal movie. I could be wrong. And, you know, they sunk some money into this one, and it's gory. It's sad and it's funny. I mean, it's one of those popcorn horror movies, and I had an excellent time with it, enough to be number 7.
Yeah.
It has like a 91% on Rotten Tomatoes, so it's well liked.
I would suggest everybody. I think it's right in your audience's wheelhouse for sure.
Yeah.
I think everybody.
If they kill a dog, I'm not watching it.
No, they don't. No, there's the guy meets up with the dog, and I won't spoil it, but the dog saves him from a monster. But the dog saves him because he thought it was his old owner, and they go back to the dog's
Jesus,
area.
No,
The owner
that might
has
be worse.
he carries his owner's dress around with him. The dog does. It's so fucking sad.
I can't. I'm gonna cry now just hearing it.
No, it's so good though. It's so good, and you'll love it. And this one is low on my list. Lower. I think I might buy this one. I just had a really good time with it.
Cool.
Where did you see it at?
I watched it here at home. It was at one of those. I'm sorry. I called it a theater movie. I watched it on Amazon Prime.
It's on Prime.
Like a
But they have
theater
that.
at home.
Yeah, they have that early
theater.
access.
Because it's one I want to check out. I just want to know where it's at.
Yeah, I think everybody here would probably have a really good time with it.
Awesome. So my number 7, going back to one mentioned earlier, my number 7 is Becky.
With the good hair.
Yeah.
Yeah. What? For the same
Becky with the good hair.
for the same reasons we just talked about. So moving on.
Good.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, that's my number 7. So it's time for number 6, but we're gonna take a quick break. We gotta stretch our limbs a little bit, and we're gonna take a break so you can hear about our podcast network, the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, full of so many awesome shows. You got to check it out, folks. Check it out at wait, what's the website? We got so many websites.
the PFPN.
thepfpn.com. Yeah. So
It says it in the jingle. Don't worry.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll be right back.
You're listening to the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, home to hundreds of hours of free podcast entertainment. The shows on this network all have a common goal, providing you with the best discussions about movies and other forms of entertainment media. The PFPN hopes to fill your earholes with audio joy. Visit our website with links to all the other amazing shows at www.thepfpn.com. Thanks for listening.
Okay, now it's time for number 666. Tad, what's your number 6?
My number 6 is from director Brandon Cronenberg, and it is Possessor.
Woo!
Oh man, this movie is fucked up. It doesn't. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree with Cronenberg's. He's got another body horror movie. This one, it's sort of hard to even explain, but basically, it's set in the future. This company, you can hire somebody. It's sort of like hiring a hitman, but they plug you in, sort of like the Matrix, into someone else's body, and you sort of live their life. And people pay this company to go after high-profile clients and murder them. So it can't just be like, walk up to them in the street and shoot them. They have to sort of get into their life somehow and play in someone else's body. And as you would guess from just seeing the word Cronenberg in the credits, things do not go as planned and things get really fucked up fast. And it is a mindfuck and great. And it's visually great, great performances, great gore, terrifying. Go watch Possessor. It's awesome.
Completely agree. I wished I couldn't find a spot for it in my top 10, but I definitely am 100% with you on that. But Tad,
It's okay to be wrong. It's okay.
well, but I guess it goes to me with Mike's criteria. I don't think I could watch this one again. It's it's heavy and hard and rough, but like,
Did everybody watch the uncut version? I'm just curious.
Yes.
yeah.
Okay. Cool.
But Tad, help me convince Mike to watch it, because I think he's like hesitant.
Well, yeah, I would give me a pitch, but I just want to say, because we talked about it a little before recording. My thing is like it's been the past couple weeks now of doing nothing but watching 2020 horror movies and some deep stuff and some disturbing stuff and some sad stuff and horrific stuff. And I'm ready to be done and watch some light stuff for a while. I mean, granted, most of my top 10 is kind of light stuff in general. So that should tell you something. So when you guys were
I'm going to need like a Home Alone chaser after this.
Yeah. So when you guys were talking about Possessor, I can't remember when now, but the Cronenberg thing obviously is intriguing, but it kind of scared me off, at least for now.
I don't know, because maybe there's something wrong with me, because I will definitely watch this again. I would not watch Vivarium again, and you said you want to own that one. Yeah. So I think our fears maybe is just sort of, your fears might be different than mine, where I would rather watch, people get violently murdered than see a fucking kid like annoy someone. Or I don't know, man.
I agree with you there.
I no spoilers. This is not on my list, but I just keep thinking about this one, The Deeper You Dig, that Mike suggested. I watched that one, and I never want to see that again. That is the saddest fucking movie I watched this year.
Yeah,
it is bleak. I mean, just Jesus Christ. I just can't. It just bummed me the fuck out. I had to watch something right away after it to get it off of my mind, but
I agree.
This is not that.
The Deeper You Dig is. I thought it was a really good movie, but it's
it's fantastic.
Obviously
not
in my top 10. Yeah, for the reasons you're saying.
But Possessor was like, it's gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
The cinematography is gorgeous in this one. The performances are great. I was a little afraid. I had to build it up for myself, because there are several times I wanted to sit down and watch it, and I knew I wasn't in the right mindset. I even suggested it to somebody before I saw it. I was like, I bet this will be something you'd like. They saw it, text me. They're like, holy fuck. And I'm like, I haven't seen it yet. And he's like, get to it and let me know after you've watched it. And I finally did get to sit down and watch it, and I was, in the right mindset for it, but it's not necessarily disturbing to me. It was really cool, and I was a little worried it was going to be too heavy on the story, like confusing, like sometimes maybe like something Chris Nolan would do in a way, but I understood what was happening. It wasn't as heavy in story as I was expecting, but it's a good one, man. You should at least see it once.
Mm-hmm. Dustin, you saw it too, didn't you?
Yeah, I watched. That's why I was making sure everybody watched the uncut version, because I don't know what a cut version would look like. I was kind of curious, like what they could, how they could have made it and cut some of that stuff out. I couldn't find a place on my list either. I don't know. It just didn't bother me as much. I know that there's a lot of fucked up shit in there and a lot of fucked up things happen, but I was rooting for absolutely no one. Like I don't care. Yeah. I don't care what happens to these people. They're almost all kind of awful, and nobody sold me. So I was just kind of along for the ride. So whatever happened, as brutal as that may have been, didn't affect me as much. Maybe if they had made me be rooting for at least someone. An ending that's very sad. But then again, it was kind of like,
it's bleak.
I don't know.
They played this at the Bluegrass Drive-In, and I didn't get to see it. But this is not one I would have wanted to see at the drive-in after I saw it.
That would be weird.
You're right. Like I go to the drive-in for a popcorn movie, and trying to focus on this story and seeing it at a drive-in would have been weird. I bet that was the R-rated version, rather than the uncut version. But I'm glad I waited to watch it at home in my own, solitude by myself.
Yep. I'll get to it. Jason, what's your number 6?
My number 6 is Scare Me.
Yeah, now we're talking.
Yeah, because it's comedy.
Exactly. Again, you could say, is it horror? But because it's definitely way more comedy. But go.
Spoiler, ahead. That one's number 16 on my list. So
yeah.
Spoiler. Yeah, it's good. Just we've talked about it, but there's a couple writers that find themselves in a power outage, and to pass the time, they tell each other stories, and it has the setup like an anthology, but it's really them two just acting out these stories that they tell each other and play the parts in each other's stories, and my goodness, it is just fun.
Yeah, another one of those movies I keep bringing it back up, but it's another one of those concepts that's really creative and cool.
Yep.
And it's very simplistic and effective.
Yes.
Yep. One location, 2 people, 1.3 people, but
Chris Red is just too funny.
Aya Cash, everything that I've seen her in, and I've mentioned before, she's Stormfront on The Boys, and she's a great actress.
Yeah, too good, because when you told us that last time she was Stormfront, my pants, I'm like, holy crap, that is the same actress.
And the snarkiness.
She also played Leonardo DiCaprio's it's a small role, Leonardo DiCaprio's secretary in The Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh shit, I don't remember her in that.
Yeah,
you want a job, you talk to me. Yeah, she's screaming out like all these stockbrokers that are trying to get a job.
You can find this movie on Shudder, ka-ching for Tad, and I totally love this fun movie. I love getting people to watch it.
It's another movie on the list here that stars the director. So interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And he's great. They're all great in this.
Yeah, it's a great
you
movie.
have to be when it's just 2 people telling stories back and forth. But they do a lot of really cool stuff with the camera work and the audio and the lighting to emphasize, almost like you're just waiting any minute for things to go into like a flashback of what they're telling and actually seeing it, but it never does. It just stays with them. Just
Doesn't
great.
need it.
No, it doesn't need it. No. And that's what's great about it.
Do so much with so little. It's amazing. Just for that. Yeah, that's my number 6.
Dustin, you saw it too, right?
Yeah, I did. I absolutely loved it.
Sweet.
And we'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Jeez.
It might be coming up.
Oh, I know it's.
I have spoken.
Sorry.
He waits till later to dunk on it.
Okay, Andy, what's your number 6?
I have a feeling that this is is my wild card. But it's just totally my kind of movie. And again, maybe one might argue that this is a horror film and only one other person actually watched this. And he's probably going to dunk on it, but I don't care. I really, really liked it. It's called The Platform.
I've heard.
Why? Why? I'm not dunking on anything. I'm just giving an opinion.
But basically, it's a story, and it reminded me so much of Cube. But I loved the concept and just the story of this movie. It's a vertical prison, and there's one cell per level, and the whole middle part of the cell is hollowed out for this platform to go down. Now, and basically, the premise of the story is there's only one food, and this platform is just covered with food. Completely covered, but it starts at the top level, which is 1, and each cell person gets 2 minutes a day to feed, and it goes down. But the problem is there's over 200 levels, so where you are at determines how much food you're really going to get. So if you're on level, say 175, chances are the food is already gone. So you may end up, resulting in, killing your cellmate and eating them in order to survive, because you, according to the movie, you are in a cell for a month at a time. So you could be living, the high life on level 2, just gorging yourself on food, and having plenty to eat. But if you could next month, you could be on level 183 and starving to death. So you never know when you're going to end up. But another interesting concept about this movie is each prisoner gets to take one item into this prison, and it doesn't matter what it is. If you want brass knuckles, you can take those. If you want a samurai sword, you can take that. It's a very, very interesting movie. I won't tell you anything much more, because I think you guys really might be interested in it. But yeah, I thought it was such a cool movie with a cool premise. I can't remember. Dustin, do you know where this was made? I know it's a foreign film.
Yeah, I thought maybe it was, was it French or Mexican? I can't remember what it was. But yeah, it's either subbed or dubbed, however you want to watch it. I would go as far as to say that it's not necessarily like a prison. It's almost like a rehabilitation center that you can volunteer for, because doesn't the main character volunteer to quit smoking, and he doesn't realize what he's getting into?
Yeah, they said he'll get a diploma if he lasts 6 months. Like, I don't know how they accredit stuff in wherever the prison is,
Because he brings a book.
Yeah, he brings Don Quixote to read, and he wants to quit smoking.
What a nerd.
But yeah, it's an interesting thing about it is the food is gourmet. It's like top tier food, and there's enough food supposedly on the platform when it starts that if everybody would just eat their share, everybody could have some. So there's a lot of and if you're on the level on a higher level, you pretty much just shit on the people down below. Yeah. And if you're down below, then you fucking hate the top people because they're not giving you anything. They're not giving you any food. They spit in the food. They shit in the food. They stomp on it. It's savage. I thought an interesting scenario with the main character was that before he was admitted, they asked him what his favorite food was, and it was, I don't know, like Clams Casino or something.
Snails. It was
snails.
Escargot.
Escargot, yes. But, something fucking disgusting. And it makes it, he's on a lower platform, but can still get food. And his plate of escargot makes it all the way to him without being touched. I thought that was a clever thing to happen in the movie. This is a must watch for everybody. I thought it was really cool.
Sounds like a very on the nose. Sounds like a very on the nose social commentary. But I was gonna watch it, but it's on Netflix and they're not sending me checks. So
bummer.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
I've been wanting to watch it.
Yeah, same here. Didn't get a chance to. So, Dustin, what's your number 6?
My number 6. Okay, hold on. I gotta get out of the containment unit here. Let's see. There we go. Let's turn this on. And let's see. Oh, there we are. All right. There we go. Oh, here it is. It is The Owners.
Owners.
Did anybody else see The Owners?
No, you're the only one.
Not.
Am I the only one
on your list that you're the only one that watched, man? This is awesome.
Oh, this is weird. Okay. Well, this has a Stark in it from Game of Thrones. This is another home invasion that kind of flips the script. It's about these group of kids that go into a house. One of them knows the owners. The others don't. One guy's like a big hot shot. One guy's the boyfriend. One person's the girlfriend who doesn't want it to happen, to go down. So it's kind of cliche in a way. But what happens is that they're trying to rob the house, get in a safe, steal money, and basically live life large after that. But they wait for the owners to leave. They try to getting into the safe. It's taking way too long. It's not a safe they can crack. If they start blaming each other, things get crazy, and they decide, hey, let's wait for the owners to come home. We'll just make them open the safe. And the owners come home. Incredible tense moments throughout this beginning of this movie. It's excellent. I'm on the edge of my seat the entire time of this movie. And they're pressuring the owners to give up the code to the safe so they can get the money. The owners don't want to. They're holding them hostage. It's a lot of back and forth. The owners is actually a doctor, and he knows he knows the entire group of kids because he's been a doctor for their area forever, and they've always had to go to him. So he knows them. So he's trying to talk them out of it, trying to make sure that, this is a mistake. You shouldn't be doing this. I know you. You guys are not like this. This is not, he's like, just walk away. I won't press any charge. He's really giving them an excellent out. But the guy he doesn't know is really like hitting him hard. He's like, we got to get this money. We got to get into this safe. We got to live large. And it just it boils up and it boils up, and I don't want to spoil it because there's some really cool things that happen in this movie. But to say that the tide shifts and the advantage is no longer in the hands of the home invasion group, but more in the owner's side, and it like I said, it kind of flips it. You can see that in the trailer, which is fucking garbage, but it's really, really good. I think you guys would like this one. The second act is a little wonky, but it ends strong, and I just had a lot of fun with it. I like Maisie Williams. She's Stark from Game of Thrones. She's in it. I don't recognize anybody else, but it was solid, and I thought it was perfect to put, kind of in the middle of my list.
That's very awesome. I love how you have movies on your list that are not on anybody else, or
why
that
didn't you
nobody
tell
else
us to
has
watch
even
that?
seen, because
Maybe they suck.
like it makes me want to watch them. So anyway, unlike me, who my number 6 is a predictable one that we've already talked about. My number 6 is Invisible Man.
Yay!
So we kind of already talked about it, but it's a great movie. It's probably my biggest Hollywood movie on my entire list. But it's just proof right there. If they can make a really awesome Invisible Man movie, then yes, Universal needs to hand over the Dark Universe to Blumhouse. So,
And Lee Winnell.
and
Let him write them all.
Yeah. So, unless anybody else has another thing they want to add about Invisible Man,
I didn't see it. Get it?
That's a Mike joke. What do you do?
I know. Come on.
Yeah, that was completely transparent.
Oh, come on.
Oh, yes.
I love it. So we still have 5 more to go, but guess what, folks? You're gonna have to wait. That's right. It's the end of part 1 of our 2-part of the award show. So to be continued. All right, thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you on the next episode of Attack of the Killer Podcast.
Oh no, could this be the end of? Attack of the Killer